In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds and dreams were both made and shattered, lived a man named Arthur Langston. Arthur was no ordinary man. He was a billionaire whose name echoed through boardrooms, luxury hotels, and exclusive social circles. With his tailored suits, sleek cars, and an empire built on smart investments, Arthur seemed to have it all. But behind the polished exterior lay a man who had grown accustomed to wealth, almost taking it for granted. He moved through life with efficiency, rarely pausing to reflect on the smaller moments or the people around him. One evening, after wrapping up a high-stakes business meeting at one of the city's most prestigious hotels, Arthur found himself in a celebratory mood. The deal he had just closed would expand his company's reach into international markets, securing his status as a titan of industry. As he gathered his belongings from the conference room, he placed a black leather suitcase containing $100,000 in cash near the door, a sum intended for finalizing the transaction the following morning. Distracted by congratulatory handshakes and phone calls, Arthur failed to notice when he accidentally left the suitcase behind. The hotel staff began their nightly routine of cleaning and organizing the space once the meeting concluded. Among them was Mia Thompson, a 17-year-old waitress who worked part-time at the hotel to help support her struggling family. Life hadn't been kind to Mia. Her father had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving her mother to raise 3 children alone. Despite their hardships, Mia remained determined to make ends meet while keeping her grades up so she could graduate high school. Every day was a balancing act between work, school, and caring for her younger siblings. As Mia tidied up the conference room, she noticed the abandoned suitcase tucked under the table. Curious, she picked it up, surprised by its weight. Unsure what to do, she decided to open it, thinking perhaps it belonged to someone who might return looking for it. What she saw inside took her breath away. Stacks of crisp $100 bills neatly arranged in rows. For a moment, Mia froze, her mind racing with possibilities. This amount of money could change everything for her family. They could pay off debts, buy groceries without worrying about the next meal, and maybe even afford proper medical treatment for her mother, who suffered from chronic back pain. But as quickly as the thought entered her mind, another voice spoke louder, the voice of her late father. She remembered his words from countless conversations they'd shared over dinner. "Mia, there are things in this world more valuable than money. Your integrity is one of them." Those words had stuck with her, guiding her decisions even in the toughest times. Still, the temptation lingered. How easy it would be to slip out unnoticed, take the money home, and disappear into the crowd. No one would ever know. Yet deep down, Mia knew that such an act would haunt her conscience forever. Torn between desperation and morality, Mia sat down on a nearby chair, clutching the suitcase tightly. She thought about her mother, who worked tirelessly despite her health issues, and her little brother, whose innocent face lit up whenever he dreamed of becoming a doctor someday. Then she thought about herself, about the values her father had instilled in her and the person she wanted to become. Slowly but surely, clarity emerged. Returning the suitcase wasn't just the right thing to do. It was the only thing she could do if she wanted to live with herself. With renewed resolve, Mia approached the hotel manager the next morning. She explained how she had found the suitcase and handed it over, insisting that every effort be made to locate its owner. The manager, impressed by her honesty, assured her that he would handle the matter promptly. Meanwhile, Arthur woke up to a sinking feeling in his gut. It wasn't until he reached for his briefcase that he realized the suitcase was missing. Panic surged through him as he frantically retraced his steps, calling the hotel in a state of near hysteria. When the manager confirmed that the suitcase had been found and was safe, Arthur felt a wave of relief wash over him, but also curiosity. Who had returned it, and why? Later that afternoon, Arthur arrived at the hotel to retrieve his belongings. The manager introduced him to Mia, explaining that she was the one who had brought the suitcase back. Standing before him, dressed in her modest uniform, Mia looked nervous yet composed. Arthur studied her for a moment, noting the sincerity in her eyes. Intrigued, he asked her directly, "Why didn't you keep the money? You could have used it to change your life." Mia hesitated briefly before replying, her voice steady but soft. "Because it wasn't mine," she said simply. "And I believe doing the right thing is more important than anything else." Her answer struck Arthur like a thunderbolt. In that instant, something shifted within him. He realized that in his pursuit of success he had lost sight of the very principles that had once guided him. Here was a young girl, facing unimaginable challenges, yet choosing integrity over greed. It was humbling and inspiring. Arthur thanked Mia profusely, promising to reward her generosity in some way. For now he left the hotel with not only his suitcase but also a newfound sense of perspective. Little did either of them know, this chance encounter would set into motion a series of events that would alter the course of both their lives. The forgotten suitcase, once a symbol of carelessness, had become a bridge connecting two vastly different worlds, and the beginning of a story neither of them could have anticipated. Arthur Langston returned to his penthouse that evening, but his mind was far from at ease. The image of Mia's earnest face lingered in his thoughts, refusing to fade. He replayed their brief conversation over and over again, her simple yet profound words echoing in his head. "Because it wasn't mine." Those 6 words carried a weight that Arthur hadn't felt in years. They reminded him of a time when he too had struggled, not with wealth but with principles. Years ago, before he became the billionaire everyone admired, Arthur had been a young man trying to make ends meet. He had worked odd jobs, studied late into the night, and relied on the kindness of others during tough times. Back then, integrity had been his guiding light, pushing him to work harder and dream bigger. But somewhere along the way, as his bank account grew and his name became synonymous with success, he had lost touch with those core values. Wealth had shielded him from the struggles of everyday life, creating a distance between him and the people who still faced hardships like the ones he once endured. That night, as he sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows of his luxurious apartment overlooking the glittering cityscape, Arthur couldn't shake off the feeling that fate had intervened. Why else would he have forgotten the suitcase? And why else would it have ended up in the hands of someone like Mia, a girl who embodied the very qualities he had long neglected? It was almost poetic, he thought, how life had given him a second chance to reconnect with what truly mattered. Theory D. Next morning, Arthur woke up with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He decided to act, not out of obligation, but out of genuine admiration for Mia's character. After making a few calls, he arranged for the hotel manager to send Mia an invitation to visit his office later that week. The letter was formal yet warm, expressing gratitude for her honesty and inviting her to discuss an opportunity further. Arthur didn't want to overwhelm her, so he kept the details vague, hoping she would come without hesitation. Mia received the letter. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. She had never stepped foot inside a corporate building, let alone met with someone as powerful as Arthur Langston. What could he possibly want with her? Was this some kind of test? Or worse, a trick? Her mother reassured her, reminding her that honesty always led to good things. Taking a deep breath, Mia accepted the invitation, determined to face whatever came her way with courage. On the appointed day, Mia dressed in her best outfit, a neatly ironed blouse and skirt borrowed from her mother, and set off for Arthur's office. As she entered the towering glass building, she felt small and out of place among the polished professionals rushing past her. The elevator ride to the top floor seemed endless, each ding signaling another level closer to the unknown. When the doors finally opened, she was greeted by a sleek reception area where everything gleamed under soft lighting. A secretary escorted her to Arthur's office, leaving her standing nervously outside the door. Inside, Arthur waited patiently, his mind buzzing with ideas. When Mia walked in, he stood up to greet her, offering a warm smile that immediately put her at ease. "Mia," he began, gesturing for her to sit. "Thank you for coming. I wanted to talk to you about something important." He paused, studying her expression carefully. "Your actions the other day, returning that suitcase, spoke volumes about your character. In a world where so many people prioritize personal Gain over doing what's right, you chose integrity. That's rare and it deserves recognition. Mia blushed, unsure of how to respond. I just did what I thought was right, she murmured, fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. Arthur nodded, appreciating her humility. Exactly, he said. And that's why I want to help you. I've decided to start a scholarship program in your honor. A fund specifically designed to support students like you who demonstrate exceptional integrity and resilience. You'll be the first recipient. Mia's eyes widened in disbelief. A scholarship? She repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Arthur smiled, leaning forward slightly. Yes, I'll cover your tuition, books, and any other expenses related to your education. Additionally, I'd like to mentor you personally, helping you navigate your future career path. I believe in your potential, Mia, and I want to give you the tools you need to succeed. Tears welled up in Mia's eyes as the reality of his words sank in. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to imagine a different future, one where she didn't have to choose between survival and ambition. I don't know what to say, she admitted, her voice trembling. Thank you doesn't feel like enough. You don't have to thank me, Arthur replied gently. This is my way of paying forward the lesson you taught me. Sometimes, we all need reminders of what truly matters. You reminded me of that, and for that I'm grateful. Over the following months, Mia dove into her studies with renewed determination. With Arthur's support, she enrolled in a prestigious university, balancing coursework with part-time jobs to contribute to her family. Arthur kept his promise, mentoring her every step of the way. He introduced her to influential figures in various industries, shared insights from his own journey, and encouraged her to pursue her passions fearlessly. Their bond grew stronger with each meeting, transforming from a professional relationship into a genuine friendship. For Arthur, mentoring Mia rekindled a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced in years. Watching her grow and thrive reminded him of the importance of giving back to society. He expanded the scholarship program, funding opportunities for dozens of other students who demonstrated similar values. Through Mia, he rediscovered the joy of making a difference, not just through financial contributions but through meaningful connections. As for Mia, the experience shaped her in ways she never imagined. She graduated at the top of her class and eventually joined Arthur's company, rising through the ranks with hard work and dedication. Years later, when she launched her own nonprofit organization aimed at supporting underprivileged youth, she dedicated it to her father and to Arthur, the two men who had inspired her to live a life rooted in integrity and compassion. Looking back, neither Mia nor Arthur could have predicted how a forgotten suitcase would change their lives. What started as a simple act of honesty blossomed into a partnership that transcended wealth and status, proving that even the smallest choices can lead to extraordinary outcomes. And in the end, both of them learned that true success isn't measured by money or power. It's measured by the impact we have on others and the legacy we leave behind. Mia's life began to transform in ways she could never have imagined after her meeting with Arthur. The scholarship not only opened doors to education but also gave her a renewed sense of hope and purpose. For the first time, she felt like she had a real chance at a future beyond the struggles that had defined her teenage years. However, this new chapter wasn't without its challenges. Balancing schoolwork, family responsibilities, and part-time jobs was no easy feat. Yet Mia approached every obstacle with determination, fueled by the belief that she owed it to herself and to Arthur to make the most of this opportunity. Arthur, too, found himself deeply invested in Mia's journey. He checked in on her regularly, offering guidance whenever she needed it. Whether it was helping her navigate a difficult course or advising her on how to manage her time effectively, he became more than just a mentor. He became a pillar of support. What surprised Arthur the most was how much he learned from Mia in return. Her resilience and optimism reminded him of his younger self, the version of him that hadn't yet been jaded by wealth and success. Through their conversations, he began to see the world through fresh eyes, rediscovering the beauty in small victories and the power of perseverance. One evening, as they sat together in Arthur's office discussing Mia's progress, she hesitantly, brought up something that had been weighing on her mind. "Mr. Langston," she said, choosing her words carefully, "I've been thinking. I want to use what I'm learning to help people like me. People who are struggling but don't have anyone to guide them." Arthur leaned back in his chair, intrigued. "Go on," he encouraged. "Well," Mia continued, her voice gaining confidence, "I know how hard it is to feel stuck, like there's no way out. But if someone had told me earlier that things could get better, maybe I wouldn't have felt so alone. I want to be that person for others. Someone they can look up to, you know?" Arthur nodded thoughtfully. "That's a noble goal, Mia. And I think you're already well on your way to becoming that person. But tell me, what exactly do you envision? Do you have a plan?" Mia hesitated for a moment before responding. "Not really. I mean, I'm still figuring it out. But I think it starts with education. If kids like me had access to resources and mentors, they'd realize their potential sooner. Maybe we could create programs that bring successful professionals into schools or community centers to share their stories and advice." Arthur smiled, impressed by her vision. "You're onto something, Mia. In fact, why don't we work on making that happen? Together, we can design a program that connects students with mentors from various industries. We'll call it Pathways to Possibilities. How does that sound?" Mia's face lit up with excitement. "That sounds amazing, but are you sure you want to take this on? It's a lot of work." "Absolutely," Arthur replied firmly. "If anyone can pull this off, it's you. And besides, I owe it to you to help turn your ideas into reality. You've already inspired me to give back in ways I hadn't considered before. Let's do this together." Over the next few months, Mia and Arthur worked tirelessly to bring Pathways to Possibilities to life. They reached out to local schools, businesses, and nonprofit organizations, gathering support and resources. Arthur used his connections to recruit volunteers, while Mia focused on designing workshops and activities that would engage students. She drew from her own experiences, incorporating lessons about resilience, integrity, and the importance of believing in oneself. The launch event for the program was held at a community center in Mia's neighborhood. Dozens of students and their families attended, eager to learn and connect with mentors. As Mia stood at the podium, addressing the crowd, she felt a surge of pride and gratitude. "When I was your age," she began, her voice steady and heartfelt, "time seemed endless, and opportunities felt scarce. But today, I'm here to tell you that your circumstances don't define you. Your choices do. Every decision you make shapes the person you become, and if you stay true to yourself, incredible things can happen." Her speech resonated deeply with the audience, earning applause and cheers. Many students approached her afterward, asking questions and sharing their dreams. One boy, barely 10 years old, tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "Can I really be an astronaut someday?" Mia knelt down to meet his gaze, smiling warmly. "Of course you can," she replied. "But you have to believe in yourself first. And remember, you're not alone. There are people like me and Mr. Langston who believe in you too." As the program gained traction, it began to attract attention beyond the local community. News outlets picked up the story, highlighting the partnership between a billionaire and a former waitress turned mentor who were changing lives together. The media coverage brought even more support, allowing Mia and Arthur to expand the initiative to other cities. Schools across the country started implementing similar programs, inspired by their model. For Mia, the success of Pathways to Possibilities was both humbling and empowering. She realized that her journey wasn't just about personal growth. It was about creating ripple effects that could touch countless lives. Each student she mentored reminded her of her own struggles and triumphs, reinforcing her belief in the power of kindness and opportunity. Meanwhile, Arthur found a renewed sense of fulfillment in his life. His days were no longer consumed solely by meetings and profit margins. Instead, he dedicated significant time to mentoring young people, attending program events, and collaborating with Mia on new projects. He often reflected on how different his life might have been if someone had taken the time to guide him during his early years. Now, he had the chance to pay it forward, and he embraced it wholeheartedly. Their partnership also strengthened their bond. While Arthur provided the resources and influence needed to scale the program, Mia brought authenticity and relatability, ensuring that the initiatives remained grounded in the realities of those they aimed to help. Together, they complemented each other perfectly, proving that collaboration between individuals from vastly different backgrounds could yield extraordinary results. As the years passed, Mia graduated at the top of her class and secured a position at Arthur's company. True to her word, she eventually founded her own nonprofit organization, focusing on providing educational and career support to underserved communities. Arthur remained a steadfast ally, contributing not only financially, but also by serving on the board of directors. Their shared mission became a testament to the idea that success isn't measured by individual achievements, but by the collective impact one can have on the world. Looking back, neither Mia nor Arthur could have predicted how a single act of honesty would lead to such profound change. A forgotten suitcase had set into motion a chain of events that transformed 2 lives, and countless others, forever. It was proof that even the smallest gestures of integrity could spark movements far greater than themselves. And in the end, both Mia and Arthur came to understand that true wealth wasn't found in bank accounts or accolades. It was found in the connections we forge, the values we uphold, and the legacies we leave behind. The success of Pathways to Possibilities continued to grow, reaching far beyond what Mia and Arthur had initially envisioned. What started as a small initiative in Mia's neighborhood soon became a nationwide movement, touching the lives of thousands of students and families. The program's impact was undeniable. Dropout rates decreased, academic performance improved, and more young people began pursuing higher education or vocational training. But for Mia, the most rewarding aspect wasn't the numbers, it was the stories. Every week, Mia received letters, emails, and messages from students who had participated in the program. One letter came from a teenage girl named Sarah, who wrote about how meeting a mentor through the program had changed her perspective on life. "Before I thought my dreams were too big for someone like me," Sarah confessed. "But now I know that if I work hard and stay true to myself, I can achieve anything. Thank you for showing me that." Another message came from a boy named Jamal, whose family struggled to make ends meet. "I used to think I'd end up working at the same factory my dad does," he wrote. "But because of your program, I'm applying to engineering schools. I want to build bridges, real ones, and help people get where they need to go." These stories filled Mia with a deep sense of fulfillment. She often shared them with Arthur during their weekly meetings, which had become a cherished ritual for both of them. Sitting in his office, surrounded by awards and accolades, Arthur listened intently as Mia recounted the latest updates. He never grew tired of hearing how their efforts were making a difference. "You know, Mia," he said one afternoon, "when I first met you, I thought I was helping you. But now I realize you've helped me just as much, if not more." Mia smiled, shaking her head slightly. "That's not true, Mr. Langston. You gave me a chance when no one else would. Without you, none of this would have been possible." Arthur chuckled softly. "Call me Arthur, please. And don't sell yourself short. You're the heart and soul of this program. If anything, I'm just the guy signing the checks." Their playful banter reflected the ease and mutual respect that had developed between them over the years. While their backgrounds couldn't have been more different, their shared mission had bridged the gap, creating a bond that transcended wealth and status. They weren't just mentor and protege anymore. They were partners, friends, and co-creators of something truly meaningful. As the program expanded, Mia faced new challenges. Managing logistics, securing funding, and ensuring quality control required skills she hadn't fully developed yet. There were moments of doubt when she wondered if she was capable of handling it all. But every time she felt overwhelmed, Arthur was there to remind her of her strengths. "You've got this, Mia," he would say. "Remember why you started. That fire inside you is what drives everything we do." One particular challenge stood out. A major corporation that had initially pledged financial support suddenly backed out, leaving a significant funding gap. Mia panicked, unsure how they would cover the costs of upcoming workshops and resources. Determined not to let the setback derail their progress, she brainstormed solutions late into the night. By morning, she had drafted a plan to host a fundraising gala, inviting local businesses, donors, and participants of the program to contribute. Arthur loved the idea and immediately offered to host the event at his company's headquarters. Together, they worked tirelessly to organize the gala, enlisting volunteers and promoting it through social media. On the night of the event, the venue was packed with attendees eager to support the cause. Speeches were given, testimonials were shared, and donations poured in. By the end of the evening, they had raised more than enough to fill the funding gap, and then some. The success of the gala marked a turning point for Mia. It reinforced her belief in the power of community and collaboration. No matter how daunting the obstacles seemed, she realized that she didn't have to face them alone. With determination, creativity, and the right team, anything was possible. Meanwhile, Arthur found himself reflecting on his own journey. Over the years, he had witnessed firsthand the transformative power of giving back. Watching Mia inspire others reminded him of the importance of using his resources wisely, not just for personal gain, but for the greater good. He began implementing similar initiatives within his company, encouraging employees to volunteer their time and expertise to charitable causes. His leadership style shifted, becoming more inclusive and empathetic. Employees noticed the change and responded positively, fostering a culture of generosity and teamwork. Despite their growing responsibilities, Mia and Arthur made it a point to stay connected to the community. Every month, they visited schools and community centers where the program was active, speaking with students and listening to their concerns. These interactions kept them grounded, reminding them of the real-world impact of their work. One visit, in particular, left a lasting impression on both of them. They traveled to a rural town several hours outside the city, where the program had recently been introduced. The school there lacked basic amenities, and many students came from low-income families. As they walked through the halls, Mia noticed a group of children huddled around a table, sketching designs for inventions they hoped to create someday. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and Mia couldn't help but join in, offering suggestions and encouragement. When one child shyly asked if she thought their ideas could actually come true, her response was immediate. Of course they can. All it takes is hard work, creativity, and believing in yourself. Later that day, as they drove back to the city, Arthur broke the silence. You know, Mia, sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I hadn't met you that day, at the hotel. Would I still be the same person? Or would I have continued down the path I was on, focused only on profits and prestige? Mia glanced at him thoughtful. I think you would have found your way eventually, she said. You're too good of a person not to. But maybe our paths crossing sped things up a bit, like it was meant to happen. Arthur smiled, nodding slowly. Maybe you're right. Either way, I'm grateful. You've taught me so much, not just about giving back, but about living a life with purpose. Their conversation lingered in the air long after they returned home. Both Mia and Arthur knew that their partnership was unique, a rare blend of gratitude, trust, and shared vision. It wasn't just about changing lives. It was about proving that kindness and integrity could spark movements far greater than themselves. As the years went by, the ripple effects of their work continued to spread. Students who had benefited from the program went on to pursue careers in medicine, technology, education, and beyond. Many credited their success to the guidance and opportunities provided by Pathways to Possibilities. Others followed in Mia's footsteps, founding their own initiatives to uplift marginalized communities. The program had become a catalyst for change, inspiring countless individuals to dream bigger and aim higher. For Mia, the journey was a testament to the power of resilience and faith. She had started as a struggling teenager burdened by responsibility, but through sheer determination and the support of an unlikely ally, she had transformed her life and the lives of others. For Arthur, it was a reminder of the importance of humility and humanity. Wealth and influence were meaningless unless used to uplift those in need. Together, they had proven that even the smallest acts of kindness could lead to extraordinary outcomes. And so the story of the forgotten suitcase became more than just a tale of lost and found. It was a story of connection, transformation, and hope. A reminder that when we choose to do the right thing, we open doors not only for ourselves, but for generations to come. Years passed, and the legacy of Pathways to Possibilities continued to grow, branching out into areas Mia and Arthur had never imagined. What began as a local initiative aimed at mentoring students had evolved into a global movement, inspiring communities across continents. The program's core principles, integrity, resilience, and opportunity, resonated deeply with people from all walks of life. As its reach expanded, so did the stories of transformation that poured in from around the world. Mia, now in her late 20s, had become a household name. Her journey from a struggling waitress to a celebrated advocate for education and empowerment was featured in magazines, documentaries, and even a best-selling biography titled From Suitcase to Success. Despite her newfound fame, Mia remained grounded, always prioritizing the mission over personal recognition. She traveled extensively, speaking at conferences, visiting program sites, and meeting with leaders who wanted to replicate the model in their own countries. Each trip reinforced her belief in the universal power of mentorship and opportunity. Arthur, now in his 60s, watched Mia's rise with pride and admiration. He often joked that she was the true billionaire, not in terms of money, but in terms of impact. While he still played a key role in funding and advising the program, he took a step back to let Mia lead. It was clear to everyone that she had inherited not just his vision, but also his determination. Together, they had built something extraordinary, yet Arthur knew it was time for him to pass the torch fully. He wanted Mia to take center stage, confident that she would carry the torch further than he ever could. One evening, during one of their regular meetings, Arthur broached the subject. "Mia," he began, leaning forward in his chair, "I've been thinking about the future of this program and your role in it." Mia looked up from the report she was reviewing, sensing the seriousness in his tone. "What do you mean?" "Well," Arthur continued, choosing his words carefully, "you've done an incredible job leading this initiative. You've taken it farther than I ever dreamed possible. And honestly, I think it's time for me to step aside and let you run things completely." Mia blinked, caught off guard. "Step aside? But you're the backbone of this program, Arthur. We wouldn't be here without you." Arthur smiled warmly. "That's kind of you to say, but the truth is this has always been your project. I may have provided the resources, but you've been the driving force behind everything. You've earned this, Mia. It's your turn to lead." For a moment, Mia sat in silence, processing his words. The idea of taking full responsibility for the program was daunting, but also exhilarating. She thought about how far she'd come, from returning a suitcase filled with cash to standing on the brink of leading a global movement. If Arthur believed in her, then maybe it was time she believed in herself too. "Okay," she said finally, her voice steady. "But only if you promise to stay involved. Your wisdom means everything to me and to the program." "Deal," Arthur replied with a grin. "I'm not going anywhere, just handing over the reins." With Arthur's blessing, Mia officially took the helm as CEO of Pathways to Possibilities. Under her leadership, the program reached new heights. She spearheaded innovative initiatives, such as virtual mentorship platforms that connected students with professionals worldwide, and scholarship funds specifically targeted at girls in underserved regions. Her focus remained steadfast, ensuring that every child, regardless of background, had access to tools and opportunities to shape their future. Yet, despite her achievements, Mia never forgot where she came from. Every decision she made was guided by the values instilled in her by her father and reinforced through her experiences with Arthur. She often reminded herself, and others, that success wasn't measured by accolades or wealth, but by the lives touched along the way. One day, while visiting a rural school in Africa where the program had recently launched, Mia met a young girl named Amina. Barefoot and shy, Amina clutched a tattered notebook to her chest as she approached Mia after a presentation. "Miss Mia," she whispered, her voice trembling, "can I really be a doctor someday?" Mia knelt down to meet her gaze, smiling softly. "Yes, Amina, you absolutely can. But it won't be easy. You'll need to study hard, stay focused, and never give up, even when things get tough. Can you promise me that?" Amina nodded vigorously. "I promise." As Mia hugged the girl, tears welled up in her eyes. This was why she did what she did. Not for fame or fortune, but for moments like this, for the chance to plant seeds of hope in young hearts. Back home, Arthur watched Mia's progress with quiet satisfaction. Though he no longer held an official title within the organization, he remained actively engaged, offering advice and support whenever needed. He also devoted more time to personal reflection, penning a memoir about his journey alongside Mia. Titled Lessons from a Suitcase, the book chronicled his evolution from a self-made billionaire to a man rediscovering the importance of integrity and compassion. It became an instant bestseller, inspiring readers to rethink their own definitions of success. During a launch event for the memoir, a journalist asked Arthur what he considered his greatest accomplishment. Without hesitation, he replied, "Meeting Mia. She changed my life in ways I never expected. Through her, I learned that true wealth isn't found in bank accounts. It's found in the connections we forge and the lives we touch." The audience erupted into applause, moved by his humility. Later that evening, as Arthur signed copies of his book, Mia stood by his side, sharing stories with fans and supporters. Watching them together, it was impossible to ignore the profound bond they shared. A partnership born out of chance but sustained by mutual respect and purpose. As the years rolled on, both Mia and Arthur continued to leave indelible marks on the world. Mia's nonprofit organization grew into a powerhouse, influencing policies and sparking conversations about equity in education. She became a sought-after speaker, using her platform to advocate for systemic change. Meanwhile, Arthur used his remaining years to mentor young entrepreneurs, encouraging them to prioritize social responsibility alongside profit. Their friendship endured, serving as a beacon of hope for anyone who doubted the possibility of meaningful connections across divides. They proved that differences in age, background, or status didn't matter when two people shared a common goal. Together, they showed that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could create ripples that transformed lives. Looking back, neither Mia nor Arthur could pinpoint the exact moment their partnership shifted from transactional to transformative. Perhaps it was the day Mia returned the suitcase, choosing integrity over greed. Or perhaps it was the countless hours they spent brainstorming ideas, navigating challenges, and celebrating victories. Whatever the catalyst, their journey underscored a timeless truth. When we choose to do the right thing, we open doors not only for ourselves, but for others as well. And so the story of the forgotten suitcase came full circle. From a simple act of honesty to a global movement rooted in integrity and compassion, it served as a reminder that our choices define us, and that even the smallest decisions can set extraordinary chains of events into motion. For Mia and Arthur, it was proof that life's greatest rewards weren't measured in dollars or titles, but in the lives they touched and the legacies they left behind. Years turned into decades, and the impact of Pathways to Possibilities only grew stronger with time. The program had become a global institution, touching millions of lives across continents. Schools, community centers, and even governments adopted its model, embedding its principles of integrity, resilience, and opportunity into their systems. Yet for Mia and Arthur, the heart of the movement remained unchanged. It was about people helping people, one life at a time. Mia, now in her 40s, stood as a symbol of hope and perseverance. Her journey from a teenage waitress struggling to make ends meet to a globally recognized advocate for education and empowerment inspired countless individuals. She was no longer just a leader, she was a living testament to the idea that circumstances don't define destiny, choices do. Despite her success, Mia stayed true to her roots, often visiting the neighborhoods where her story began. She made At a point to connect with students, parents, and teachers, listening to their challenges and celebrating their victories. One such visit took her back to the very hotel where she had found the suitcase all those years ago. The building had undergone renovations, transforming into a sleek, modern structure. But the memories came flooding back as she walked through its doors. The manager greeted her warmly, recognizing her immediately. "Ms. Thompson," he said with a smile, "it's an honor to have you here. Your story has inspired so many of us." Mia chuckled softly, shaking her head. "It's funny how life works, isn't it? I never imagined that something as small as returning a suitcase would lead me here." The manager nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest waves. You've certainly proven that." Later that day, Mia gave a speech at a local high school auditorium packed with students eager to hear her story. As she recounted the events of that fateful evening, the discovery of the suitcase, her internal struggle, and her decision to return it, she noticed a young girl in the front row wiping away tears. After the talk, the girl approached Mia hesitantly, clutching a notebook to her chest. "Miss Thompson," the girl began, her voice trembling, I wanted to thank you. I've been feeling so lost lately, like nothing I do matters. But hearing your story makes me believe that maybe I can make a difference too." Mia knelt down to meet the girl's gaze, her expression softening. "You already are making a difference," she replied gently. "Every choice you make shapes the person you're becoming. Don't ever doubt your ability to change the world, even if it starts with something small." The girl smiled, nodding slowly before walking away. Watching her leave, Mia felt a familiar warmth in her chest. These moments reminded her why she kept going, even when the weight of responsibility felt overwhelming. It wasn't about accolades or recognition. It was about planting seeds of hope in young hearts and watching them grow. Meanwhile, Arthur, now in his 80s, spent his days reflecting on a life well lived. Though age had slowed him down, his spirit remained as vibrant as ever. He often joined Mia at events, sharing stories from his memoir and offering words of encouragement to young audiences. His presence alone was a source of inspiration, reminding everyone that it's never too late to embrace change and give back. During one such event, a young entrepreneur asked Arthur for advice on balancing profit with purpose. Arthur leaned forward, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Success isn't about choosing between the two," he explained. "It's about finding ways to merge them. When you use your resources to uplift others, you create value that lasts far beyond money. Trust me, I learned that lesson the hard way." The audience erupted into applause, moved by his sincerity. Later, as Arthur sat backstage sipping tea, Mia joined him, grinning mischievously. "Still got it, huh?" she teased. Arthur laughed, patting her hand affectionately. "Oh, stop it. You're the real star of the show. I'm just the old guy tagging along." "You're more than that," Mia replied earnestly. "You're the reason this all started. Without you, none of this would exist." Arthur shook his head, his voice filled with emotion. "No, Mia. This is your legacy. I may have helped set the stage, but you're the one who built the masterpiece. And what a masterpiece it is." Their bond had grown deeper over the years, transcending mentorship and friendship to become something akin to family. They shared not only triumphs but also struggles, supporting each other through every challenge. Whether it was navigating funding shortages, addressing systemic barriers, or simply coping with personal losses, they faced it all together. Their partnership proved that collaboration, rooted in trust and mutual respect, could achieve the impossible. As they looked toward the future, both Mia and Arthur knew that their work was far from over. While Pathways to Possibilities had achieved remarkable success, there were still countless communities in need of support. New challenges emerged constantly, requiring innovative solutions and unwavering dedication. But neither of them shied away from the task ahead. Instead, they embraced it with renewed vigor, driven by the belief that every effort mattered. In the final years of his life, Arthur dedicated himself to documenting the lessons he had learned alongside Mia. He expanded his memoir into a series of books aimed at young readers, encouraging them to pursue lives of purpose and integrity. Before passing away peacefully at the age of 92, he left Mia a heartfelt letter, thanking her for reigniting his passion for giving back and urging her to continue spreading hope to future generations. Mia honored his memory by redoubling her efforts, ensuring that Arthur's legacy lived on through the program. She established the Arthur Langston Fellowship, awarding scholarships to students committed to social entrepreneurship and community service. Each recipient was tasked with carrying forward the values Arthur had championed throughout his life. Decades later, as Mia stood on a stage accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From the moment she returned that suitcase, her life had taken a trajectory she could never have predicted. Yet looking back, she realized that everything happened for a reason. That simple act of honesty had set into motion a chain of events that transformed not only her life but also the lives of millions around the world. In her acceptance speech, Mia spoke directly to the audience, her voice steady yet emotional. "When I was 17, I didn't think my choices mattered. I thought I was too small, too insignificant to make a difference. But then I met someone who showed me otherwise, a man named Arthur Langston. Together we proved that integrity and compassion could spark movements far greater than ourselves. So today I want to remind each of you, your choices matter. No matter how small they seem, they can create ripples that change the world." The audience erupted into applause, rising to their feet in admiration. As Mia stepped off the stage, she felt a profound sense of gratitude, not just for the accolades but for the journey itself. She had come full circle, from a struggling teenager to a global changemaker, guided by the principles of integrity and kindness. And so, the story of the forgotten suitcase came to its conclusion, not as an ending, but as a beginning. For Mia, Arthur, and everyone whose lives they touched, it served as a reminder that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to shape destinies. It was proof that true wealth lies not in material possessions but in the connections we forge and the legacies we leave behind. Through their partnership, Mia and Arthur had shown the world that doing the right thing wasn't just a moral imperative, it was a catalyst for extraordinary change.